Hey everyone, and welcome back to Unique Coin Value. Today we're tackling one of the most asked about coins in American pocket change. The 1965 Washington quarter. If you've ever dug through a jar of old coins, you've definitely found one of these. And if you've ever Googled it, you probably found a crazy mix of answers. Some sites say it's worth just 25 cents. Others whisper about it being a rare, silver treasure worth hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. So what's the truth? Is the coin in your hand a common piece of clutter or a hidden jackpot? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be an expert on the 1965 quarter and know exactly what to look for. To understand 1965 quarter, we have to take a quick trip back in time. Before 1965, dimes and quarters in the U.S. were made of 90% silver. That's the good stuff. But by the early 1960s, the price of silver was rising so much that the metal in a silver dime was worth more than 10 cents. People started hoarding them, and the U.S. Mint faced a massive coin shortage. So, in 1965, the government made a huge change. They eliminated silver from our dimes and quarters, switching to a new, cheaper composition, a copper core sandwiched between two layers of a copper-nickel alloy. We call this clad coinage. This change was so significant that to prevent hoarding of new coins, the mint didn't put mint marks on any dimes, quarters, or half dollar for 1965 through 1967. So, no D for Denver or S for San Francisco. If you find a 1965 quarter, it will have no mint mark, meaning it was made in Philadelphia. Now, here is the critical fact that causes all the confusion. The official switch happened in 1965. But the Mint had already prepared working dies for 1964 dated coins, and they were allowed to keep using them into 1965. This sets the stage for our first and most famous error. This is the big one. The coin that fuels the dreams of every coin quarter struck on a 90% silver planchet, the blank metal disc mint for a 1964 coin. Yes, you heard that right. A single War 1965 quarter can be worth $5,000 or more if it's one of these rare silver errors. So the very first thing you do with any 1965 quarter is check the edge. Now, let's come back down to earth. For the overwhelming majority of the over 1.8 billion quarters minted in 1965, they're the common copper-nickel clad coins. These are the ones you find every day. So, what is the circulated value of a standard 1965 quarter? For a worn, circulated, completely normal 1965 quarter, the value is 25 cents. It's worth exactly its face value as U.S. legal tender. Now, don't be disappointed. That doesn't mean there's no premium. If you have a roll of 40 uncirculated 1965 quarters, a collector might pay a small premium, maybe $12 to $15 for the roll, just for the convenience and the condition. But coin for coin, in circulated condition, it's a spendable quarter. But wait, there's another layer to this. Even for common coins, condition is king. Let's talk about grades. This first one is heavily worn. George Washington's hair has no detail. The motto is faint. This is a good grade. Value? Still 25 cents. This second one has a full rim. Most of the hair detail is visible. This is an extremely fine grade. It's a nicer example, but still so common that it might only be worth 50 cents to $1 to a very specific collector filling a folder. Now, this third one. Look at that. It's never been in circulation. It has its original luster, a full strike, nowhere. This is brilliant uncirculated or mint state. So, while a worn one is face value, a truly pristine gem uncirculated 1965 quarter could be worth $20, $30, or even more. The key is that it has to be virtually perfect for its age. No bag marks, no hairlines. In this video, we're going to break down everything you need to know. We'll talk about its history, its mintage, the key varieties you absolutely must check for, and of course, its true circulated value. So, stick around because you're not going to want to miss this one. To understand the 1977 quarter, we have to take a quick trip back in time. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver. They had a certain weight, a beautiful ring to them, and an intrinsic metal value. But in the mid-60s, the price of silver shot up so high that the metal in the coin was worth more than its face value. People started hoarding them, and the U.S. Mint had to make a change. So in 1965, they introduced the clad coinage. And what does clad mean? See these layers? A 1977 quarter is made of a core of pure copper sandwiched between two outer layers of a copper-nickel alloy. It's 75% copper and 25% nickel. This made the coin much, much cheaper to produce, but it also means it has virtually no melt value. Its value comes purely from its numismatic worth. What collectors are willing to pay for it. The Philadelphia Mint struck a whopping 468, 556,000 quarters in 1977. No mint mark. The Denver Mint wasn't far behind, producing 256, 524, 978 quarters with the little d mints, so just between those two mints, we're looking at over 725 million coins. That is a massive, massive number. This is why finding a 1977 quarter in your change is about as common as finding a pebble on a beach. But wait, there's a third mint. The San Francisco Mint. In 1977, they didn't produce coins for circulation. They only made proof coins for collectors, which come in special sets and have a brilliant mirror-like finish. They produced 3,251,152 proof sets that year. Okay, let's be brutally honest. If you have a 1977 P or 1977 D quarter that looks like it's been through a war, scratched, worn smooth, covered in gunk, its value is face value. 25 cents. But what about a coin in an eye? Seen some use, but still has most of its details sharp, maybe even a bit of its original mint luster. For a 1977 P or 1977 D in that condition, you're looking at a value of about 50 cents to $1. Maybe $2 or $3 for a truly pristine, about uncirculated piece that's just shy of being mint state. So, not a fortune, but it's double to quadruple its face value. The key here is condition, condition, condition. The screen splits, showing a dull coin on one side and a brilliantly shiny coin on the other. Upbeat, suspenseful music starts. Now, this is where it gets exciting. Because with a mintage this huge, the only 1977 quarters that are worth significant money are the ones in top-tier condition or with major errors that a mint state. MS. Coin is one that never entered circulation. It was saved straight from a mint and has all its original luster, with no wear whatsoever. For a regular 1977 P or 1977 D in MS 60 to MS 63 condition, you're still only looking at $5 to $10. Still not life-changing, but if you have a coin graded MS 65 or higher, that's gem uncirculated quality, the value starts to climb. A nice MS 66 can bring $15 to $25. And the absolute finest examples, like MS 67s, are much rarer and can sell for $100 to over $200 at auction. But remember, finding a coin this perfect just floating in circulation is like finding a needle in a haystack. These are almost always from original bankrolls or mint sets, a stunning close-up of a 1977 S-proof quarter. The fields are mirror-like, and the design is frosted. It's clearly special. Now, let's talk about the 1977 S-proof. This coin was never meant for your pocket. It was sold directly to collectors. In perfect, unimpaired proof, 70 condition, this coin is worth around $10 to $15. This is the holy grail for a coin like this. With billions struck, the mint machines were working overtime, and mistakes happened. You need to be on the lookout for these. Look for doubling in the inscriptions like "In God We Trust." Stick around, because we're about to uncover everything you need to know about the 1983 quarter circulated. That's right, over 1.2 billion quarters were made in 1983. So, when we talk about circulated value for the vast, vast majority of these coins, a coin like this that's been to hell and back in circulation is worth exactly its face value. It's a great candidate for spending or using in a laundry machine. But circulated value doesn't just mean heavily worn. It means any coin that has entered commerce and shows signs of use. And that's where the grading and the condition become critical. That a circulated coin in good condition might only be worth face value. But a circulated coin in extremely fine or about uncirculated condition, meaning it saw very little actual use, can have a small premium to collectors. See that? For a nice, uncirculated looking coin from your change, you might be able to get $1 or $2 from a collector who needs a high-grade example for their album. It's not life-changing money, but it's a 400% to 800% return on your 25-cent investment. The key is condition, condition, condition. Look for coins with full details, strong rims, and that original cartwheel luster. A double die occurs when the hub, the master tool used to create the working dies, impresses the design onto the die twice, slightly out of alignment. This creates a distinct, doubling effect on every coin struck from that faulty die. It is not machine doubling, which is flat and shelf-like. This is true collectible doubling for the 1983 double die obverse. You need to focus on 3 key areas on the front of the coin: the motto, "In God We Trust." Asterisk, asterisk, look for clear doubling to the south and west of the letters. Asterisk, the date, 1983. Asterisk, asterisk, doubling is most prominent on the 8 and the 3. Asterisk, the word liberty. Asterisk, asterisk, check for doubling on the bottom of the letters, particularly the B and R. This is a rare coin. It's not something you'll find every day, but they are out there in circulate. Be worth $150 to $300. In higher grades, that value shoots up dramatically. So, how do you look for it? Get a cheap jeweler's loupe, use the macro mode on your phone, or even a magnifying glass. Take your time and compare your coin to known examples online. But the DDO isn't the only game in town. The 1983 quarter has a few other interesting quirks that can add a small premium. The value depends on the percentage of the shift. A 5% off-center might only be worth $10 to $15, but a 50% off-center in circulated condition could be worth $50 or more. Next, keep an eye out for broad strikes. This is when the retaining collar, the ring that holds the planchet in place, fails, and the coin spreads out like a pancake without a proper rim. These are neat errors and can bring $20 to $40 even in circulated grades. And finally, don't forget about die cracks and cuts. A cut is a raised, blob-like feature on the rim or field, caused by a piece of the die breaking off. A significant cut can add nice premium. Separate all your quarters and look for the 1983 dates. Don't worry about mint marks yet, just get all the 1983s together. Now, go through your 1983s and pull aside any that look exceptionally clean, sharp, and lustrous. These are your potential high-grade circulated coins worth that $1 to $2 premium. Divide your nice-looking coins into 2 piles, 1983 P and 1983 D. The varieties we've discussed can exist on both, but it's good to be organized. This is where you get out your magnifier. For each coin, slowly and methodically examine the "In God We Trust," the date, 1983, the word, liberty. Look for that distinct, shadow-like doubling. Also, give the coin a once-over for any obvious off-center strikes or major die breaks. Roll the coin on its edge and look at the rim. Is it even all the way around? Or is it weak on one side, suggesting an off-center strike? Is there a weird, raised blob? That could be a cut. Let's say you find a 1983 quarter that you think is a double die. What now? First, let's set the stage. The 1984 quarter is part of the long-running Washington quarter series, which started back in 1932. By 1984, these were all made of a copper-nickel clad composition. That's a core of pure copper sandwiched between 2 layers of copper-nickel. So, no silver here, unless you find a special proof or something we'll talk about later. Let that sink in. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 676 million quarters that year. The Denver Mint added another $500 million. Combined, we're looking at over 1.2 billion 1984 quarters. That's a staggering number. And that, my friends, is the primary reason why a typical, worn, circulated 1984 P or 1984 D quarter you find in your change today is worth face value. 25 cents. That, if it looks like this, heavy wear, scratches, maybe a little grimy, it's a spendable coin. Its value is purely monetary, not numismatic. But wait, don't click away. This is where it gets interesting. While a worn coin is worth 25 cents, a perfectly preserved coin is a different story. The value shifts from what it is to how it looks. This is the world of coin grading. A coin that was never released into circulation, say from a bankroll, is known as a brilliant uncirculated or mint state coin. It has zero wear and often has a great luster. Notice the jump? A coin that can be graded MS 66 or higher by a service like PCGS or NGC is actually quite rare. Finding one in a bankroll is like finding a needle in a haystack, but that's what makes the hunt fun. So if you have a 1984 quarter that looks like it just left the mint, it might be worth a few bucks to the right collector. All right, now for the main event. The thing that can turn this common coin into a potential $100 payday. I'm talking about the 1984 Pete double die obverse variety. A double die occurs when a hub imprints the design onto the coinage die multiple times, and it's slightly misaligned between impressions. This creates. Variety is known. Finding one is a real challenge, that's right. A coin you could find in circulation could be worth over $100. This is why you need to check your 1984 P quarters very carefully. We've covered the P and D mints, but there's a third mint that produced quarters in 1984. The San Francisco Mint, or the S Mint. The San Francisco Mint didn't make coins for circulation in 1984. They exclusively made proof coins, which were sold directly to collectors in sets. These are struck with special polished dies and planchets, giving them that incredible mirror-like background and frosted cameo design. The 1984 S-Proof quarter is a beautiful coin, but it's also very common. Over 3 million sets were sold. So, unless it's a perfect top-tier CM or it's in deep cameo grade, its value is relatively modest. Your action plan is simple: grab your 1984 quarters. Asterisk, look for the P or demint mark on the obverse. Check the condition. Asterisk, is it worn? It's likely 25 cents. Is it pristine and uncirculated? It might be worth a few dollars to a collector that scrutinize every 1984 P. Asterisk, get a magnifying glass or use your phone's macro mode. Look at the 84 foot in the date, and in God we trust for that distinct doubling. Compare it to images online of the known variety. Handle all potential finds by the edge. Asterisk, don't get your fingerprints all over a potentially valuable uncirculated coin. The 1984 quarter is a perfect example of how numismatics works. A common coin is just a common coin, until it isn't. It's a piece of history, a piece of art, and for the sharp-eyed collector, a potential treasured. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Coin Canvas for more content like this. We have a whole playlist on modern coin values linked on the screen now. Jake, now I want to hear from you. Have you ever found a valuable coin in your change? Or do you think you might have a 1984 double die? Tell me about it in the comments below. Let's